It's a war most of the world stopped watching years ago. But in Syria, the violence never really ended. It just shifted from city to city, from battlefield to battlefield. Last year, President Bashar al-Assad was ousted. There's a new government in place. Heading it is former rebel commander and al-Qaeda terrorist al-Jolani. The focus is on peace and rebuilding. But the sectarian tensions never really went away. And this week, they erupted again, in a place many had forgotten about, Sueda. More than 100 people have been killed there. A centuries-old tribal feud has reignited, and now regional players, including Israel, are getting pulled in. So what is this conflict about, and why could this be a dangerous new flashpoint in Syria? Our next report tells you.
Syria's long, brutal war may have faded from international headlines. But in the southern city of Sweida, things just exploded again. Today, at least 12 more Druze civilians were killed by government forces, bringing the total death toll since Sunday to over 100. The Druze community in Syria is a religious minority shrouded in mystery and often misunderstood. The Druze faith emerged in 11th century Egypt as a secretive offshoot of Shia Islam. But it borrows ideas liberally from Greek philosophy, Islamic mysticism, and others. In terms of population, they're small but strategically scattered. About 700,000 Druze live in Syria, mostly in Sweida province. There are also substantial Druze communities in Lebanon, Israel, and Jordan. The flashpoint this time was tribal and personal. On Sunday, Bedouin gunmen abducted a Druze vegetable vendor along the Damascus highway. In a tit-for-tat move, Druze fighters kidnapped Bedouins. That feud quickly morphed into open street battles. Now, the rivalry between the Druze and Bedouins predates modern-day Syria. In Sweida, Druze and Bedouin tribes have long lived side by side, but uneasily. There are disputes over land, resources, honor, and political allegiances. Things have occasionally turned violent. But what turned it political was the entry of the Syrian forces. The al-Jolani government says it entered Sweida to separate the two sides. But locals believe the regime saw an opportunity to reassert control over a largely autonomous area, using the tribal fight as pretext. Since Bashar al-Assad's ouster last year, Sweida has largely governed itself. Local Druze militias have kept both ISIS and pro-government militias out. However, Damascus doesn't like pockets of autonomy. After the new government, the regime's grip on regions like Sweida became even more tenuous. So when fighting erupted this week, the army moved in, ostensibly to restore order. Some Druze spiritual leaders initially welcomed the Syrian army, hoping it would help restore stability. Others called for fierce resistance. But many Druze residents fear this is about breaking their autonomy and setting an example for other restive regions. And this is where it gets even more complicated. Israel has a Druze population of around 150,000, many of whom serve in the Israeli military. It also has 22,000 Druze residents in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, most of whom still identify as Syrian. So when Syrian troops advanced into Sweida, Israel stepped in with airstrikes. Israel claimed it was protecting the Druze community from harm. PM Benjamin Netanyahu says the strikes were intended to deter the Syrian regime from using violence against the Druze. But Damascus has called Israel's moves a violation of sovereignty and an act of aggression. So where does it go from here? On paper, there's a ceasefire. The Syrian defense minister announced it. Gunfire has reportedly subsided. Troops are handing over some areas to internal security forces. A curfew is in place. But peace in Sweida is fragile, more a negotiated pause than a lasting solution. And in Syria, calm has a way of vanishing overnight.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka karjo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
4 兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.